I didn't even take in the record until I got like maybe 30 weeks in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an artist named Charles Eston who currently has the record for the most consecutive songs released on a weekly basis. He has that record on iTunes, and it's 52 weeks. I've been releasing one song a week on all DSPs for 73 weeks now.
Damn.
So I like bashed that record.
Yeah.
But that was never the goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm currently in conversation with Guinness, and they're sifting through all the evidence to ensure that everything's credible. And I'm sure I'll be awarded the certificate from the Guinness Book of World Records within the next month or two.
Here in The Cut, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather. Now, in The Cut, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. Today on the show, we have someone who's returning. It has been, I say, almost 3 years to the day since he's been on the show. One of the most successful independent artists in the entire country, closing in on the Guinness World Record. 3 albums out so far and no sign of slowing down. Welcome to the show, DillanPonders.
What a beautiful, incredible introduction, man. Very happy to be here. And I am excited to have this interview and eat a bit of ice cream whilst getting it rocking, man.
Yeah, you said you feel like you got no shot of finishing the ice cream. Are you still standing by that?
I must say, like, when you said it at the top, like, we challenge our guests, part of me was like, well, I'll at least try to get, like, 3/4 of the ice cream down. I'll try.
Yeah.
If I do anything more than that, it'll be a W.
I think, too, at this point, it's kind of like you got to make a choice. Either I'm going to do the interview or I'm going to finish the ice cream. So
It depends. I'm a little bit stoned, so I might straddle the line between fully in on the interview and, caving in on the ice cream yummies.
I think that's our best shot because we did have someone finish the ice cream in season 2. And
That's hilarious that, like, you remember from season 2. That's how many people haven't.
No, literally. And what made it crazier was it was before we were Eva. So it was the Big Briars, like, tub of ice cream. And he finished it.
Insanity.
Like 15 minutes afterwards, he goes, now imagine if I was high.
Yeah.
I said, you're a demon, man. You're a demon. I can't with you.
It's like you should have given me 2. Next time I smoke, give me 2.
So that's what we're up against. That's like the bar. I want to go back in time a little bit because We're Alive was your last project that we spoke about.
Yeah.
And you talked about having like a big difference in like how you're making music at that time.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to hear that compared to where you're at now. But when you look back at that time, what sticks out in terms of how you're making your music?
My creative process has always been relatively similar. In that I don't overthink. I just kind of feel my songs out. But for Because We're Alive, it was an album of mine where I was surrounded by a publicist, manager, marketing expert, like a whole team, the whole shebang. And on this rollout, I really wanted to kind of hit some markets that a lot of my music hadn't hit, which required a certain level of mindfulness that far surpassed any of my other works before. And even to this day, Because We're Alive, it's about to crack like 11 million streams on Spotify. I don't know what it has on every other streaming service, but it really put me on display to parts of the industry that weren't necessarily giving me the light of day or the respect I feel I deserved as an artist. Because We're Alive was more of like a flaming, respectful middle finger to the industry. And while still giving my like day ones the type of music that I know they love and respect and deserve, which is authentic raps.
Yeah. You got a couple of lines where you say you're like the new Wayne, and I'm like 1,000,000%. Like,
Right?
yeah,
So I'm speaking it into existence, man.
no, and I think you're like, for me, what I see in your rapping style different from that time is it's almost as if you have this like continuous flow that never stops. How I compare it to, and you maybe know because you're a runner, is have you seen those things where they make people run on that track? That's like what marathon runners run and how fast.
Yeah, totally.
That's kind of what your flow is like now. You know, marathon runners are like kind of sprinting through this whole thing.
That's a good comparison.
That's kind of what your flow is now. It's like, nah, how I started is how I'm going to finish.
Totally. That's funny you notice that, because some of my bigger influences while I was starting to release music into the world back like 9 years ago, before Spotify existed, like Bandcamp era, was Black Hippie.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
obviously Schoolboy Q, Absol, Kendrick. But yo, fucking the way Kendrick would hop on a song like, guess who's back in this motherfucker looking like a motherfucking goddamn pimp, all right? Came in the game with $1 and a dream and an AK clip with an infrared beam. Like, fam, like those types of flows, I was like, he's just not breathing. Yeah. He's just gonna not breathe. And I always had like a pretty insane lung capacity. When I started rapping, I learned that I could get a lot of words in and get a lot of bars in without having to take a breath. So it was something that I always knew I wanted to fine tune.
Yeah.
So hearing you say that unprompted at this point in my career is like, well, job well done, Dylan.
No, I honestly, I think it's obvious, because not everyone can do that. It's almost like maybe it's a musician's thing to like notice that, because the casual listener.
Totally. There's different levels, you know, like there are people who listen to music and will just hear the beat. There are some people who listen to music for lyrics. And then there are people who make music so they hear the undertones, they hear the snares. And then there are people who are strictly engineers, so they hear the levels, they hear the EQ. You know, so it depends on the ear that is taking in the sound wave. But I could tell you're a musician because you know.
Yes. And I think even myself, I always feel like, do I know what people like? Because again, like, not everyone's a musician, so I could be just pissed off, be like, this snare is trash.
This is way too loud. Then the average listener will be like, what? That song is great.
I love that, you know?
Or I'll be like, yo, that 808's clipping. Or, that's yeah, I'll be like, why is no one noticing this? But it's funny, the things that we all pay attention to, like everyone's attention to detail is pretty mean, but everybody has different details they pay attention to. So
no, 100%. Now, Spotify Rap came out. That's like what's going on today. Literally perfect timing. Yeah. And one of my close friends, she had Ice Spice as her number one listen to artist, and I was like, I'm clearly sleeping on whatever Ice Spice is doing. And that's what I thought of. Like, we're talking about listening to different things. Is like, you know, when I hear Ice Spice, it's definitely not what she hears when she hears Ice Spice.
100%. That's a funny observation. You know, like for me, like my journey as an independent creator, when I kind of branched out from my team and started releasing music, I was really in tune with what I wanted to release and was accepting of the fact that I can't please everybody. I was trying to please everybody for a while in a way. It's like, I gotta make the melodic shit for these people. I gotta do this for this, do this for this. Then it's like, yo, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for them, or am I doing this for me? And like with regards to Ice Spice, or I see some people's favorite artists and I'm like, I've literally never heard of that person. But I go to that person's page and they have like 3 million monthly listeners, and they have a whole they're popping off in Czechoslovakia or some shit. Like, literally. So it's crazy because like even for me, like some people think like I'm Drake. Like there are some people who look at me like I'm their biggest artist. And I'm like, fam, like I could go to the grocery store and like I'm chilling. Like nobody's bugging me. Like I ain't on that level. But it's the reference point. I'm sure the person who had Ice Spice is their number one artist is like, yo, I love this new wave of female hip hop artists, and Ice Spice is a hybrid of this, that, and that. So it could be feeding whatever palette that is like popping off for them right now, you know?
I think that realization you said you had about not trying to please everyone is probably the biggest thing that artists, I think, have a problem with. I said this on another pod a while ago, is like, a lot of artists, every song they put out is almost as if they're trying to catch a new fan every time. Yeah. And it's like, if I'm a fan of you, what's here for me?
Totally.
You know, and I like that you said that that's something you realize and it helps you grow. That process of deciding, okay, I'm not going the label structure no more. I'm going independent. Talk about that time, because you know we're a few years removed from that, and you're successful now. But talk about at that time what was going on in your head.
Yo, you know, the Because We're Alive era was, we were entertaining conversations of going and meeting with major labels and potentially signing a deal for an album or two. And in the perspective and the rubric I grew up on, it was like, you release music, you gain some traction, and then you sign with a label, and the label helps you and all that. And my business acumen was getting sharper, and my experience in the game was like fucking 9 years at the Because We're Alive time. And I was like, yo, what am I doing this for? And like, I love making music. Whether or not I made money from it, I do it every day. Okay, so why would I want to go a major label route? Well, probably to get my music on a bigger platform quicker. But if I go the major label route, then they're basically making an investment in me as an artist. So therefore, all of the money from my streams, my tour bus, my studio time, I'm going to be paying them back for all of those things. And there was interest from major labels, whom I won't mention, but that didn't excite me because like I'm going to be doing this till I'm like fucking
whatever.
Yo, like I made the decision that there's no cap, or not cap, but there's no limit on the age that I'm going to be like 67 doing arena shows, fam.
You're going to be literally like with your cane spitting bars.
Oh, bro, like locks, like down to the green room, fam.
Like a Marley, 100%.
But in order to have that type of longevity, I had to have some real like ownership of not just my craft and not just my rights, but my direction, setting my intention. And I was like, yo, fuck it. Like, I'm not really out here trying to pop off and be the next Justin Bieber. I'm not trying to go viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
I have like listeners who love my music. I built these up. So let's just start feeding these people and making exactly what I want to make.
This guy's preaching. Preaching.
When I started doing that, I was like, okay, well, I've always wanted to release a song a week. I'm going to do it. Let's see how this goes. Then releasing one song a week. I'm going on a quick tangent before you get to the next question. Releasing a song a week took a lot of mindfulness.
Yes.
Because if you release one rap song every week for a year, people are going to be like, cool, go away. Like, you got to stay relatively mindful of the fact that when you start releasing on a weekly basis, although you want to stay authentic to your sound, there's still got to be a little bit of versatility in that sound. It's got to be elastic. It's got to stretch. And the weeklies, when I first started, was a bit of a challenge because I was like, yo, I got to come up with something fresh every week. I have hundreds of songs on my hard drive, but like a lot of those songs, it takes me like 10 songs sometimes to come up with the one that I want to release. And the weeklies got me into this flow state, dude. My numbers started popping on Spotify. I started managing myself. I'm bringing in the answer to the question. I started taking care of everything on my own and not trying to become successful in the mind of my younger self, but realizing that I already have everything I've ever wanted. I release music how I want to. I'm making decent money from this music, and I genuinely love what I do. In my books, that's success. So I realized that I'm not going to start chasing success because someone tells me that over there is success. It's like I said this on a different interview, but like a win to Justin Bieber is going to be a win to me is different than a win to Justin Bieber. Like we're in a different playing field, and that's fine. I love that. You know, I'm not here trying to be the next fucking Drake. I think there is a Drake, and he's the man. But as long as I can eat and be authentic, I'm going to start. This was my mindset when I kind of pulled away from the old rubric. I'm going to start doing this confidently and just put all my faith in my music.
Yeah, I know you saw that clip when we talked about you on the episode with Patrick. And
yeah, shouts to Patrick, man.
Big shout out to Patrick. And why I've always used you as an example in this independent part of your career is so many artists are scared to drop music in the first place. You're literally the opposite. You're talking about us dropping a song every week, and you know the label managers will tell you, take your time, once every 3 months.
Yep.
You know, maybe a post here, post there.
3 singles, video, album,
all that. And it's like, you're kind of an example of the opposite of that working. Was there any pushback from anybody in your life when you started that? Because I remember when you first said I'm going to do a song every week, and it's almost just like, how many weeks? You said that?
Okay, well, how long are you going to do this for? Well, like, firstly, a lot of artists live in their minds. So it's like, yo, is someone going to like this? Okay, this is good, but is it good? I don't even. It's like when you start getting into that battle, it's like, yo, like you're going to die one day. All of the things, like not to get dark, but these are facts. Like we're here for a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
You made something, you put your all into it, put it out into the world. The battle is like, I don't know if who am I going to pitch it to? Are they going to pick it up? Is it going to, like, if you have expectations that are outside of your realm of control, you're going to be battling yourself forever.
And you're going to lose every time.
You're going to lose every time. You're going to stay. I know people who have like songs on their hard drive from 2005 who never released. And they're like, yo, next year's the year, man. And it's like, no roast to anybody, but if you stay in a realm of fear, you're not going to become a true artist, which represents fearlessness. Now back to the weekly shit, bro. There was I won't say there's pushback, because everyone who's close to me knows that when I set my mind to something, it's going down.
Yeah.
You know, I believe in myself, like heavy, in no egotistical sense, but like I am in tune with myself and my capabilities. So when I decided that I was going to drop one song a week, a lot of people were like, are you sure that's not going to become repetitive? Or do you think that that's going to work? And they were asking me those questions from a place of insecurity and projecting their fears onto a path that no one's really walked down before. Facts. I didn't know how this was going to fucking go. So how are you going to tell me how it's going to work if I don't even know how it's going to work?
So I'm guessing you didn't know about the record or anything when you started.
Nah. So fucking, I didn't even take in the record until I got like maybe 30 weeks in. And there's an artist named Charles Eston who currently has the record for the most consecutive songs released on a weekly basis. He has that record on iTunes, and it's 52 weeks. I've been releasing one song a week on all DSPs for 73 weeks now.
Damn.
So I like bashed that record.
Yeah.
But that was never the goal. But I'm currently in conversation with Guinness, and they're sifting through all the evidence to ensure that everything's credible. And I'm sure I'll be awarded the certificate from the Guinness Book of World Records within the next month or two. But the funny thing is, when I receive the record for the 72 weeks or the 71 weeks, whatever amount they set it to, I'll be beating my own record every single week until I decide to stop releasing, which is just hilarious. Like, that's so cool.
And I think your record's gonna be untouchable, man. I feel like
I agree.
Yeah, I respectfully,
unless AI is coming into fruition, so an AI might fuck up it might go on forever. But if you're a human being with a heartbeat, you ain't fucking with this.
You're not touching that. You're not touching that.
You're not. Yo.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool, just because the contrast of what everyone is told to do, and it's like, I want this to be an example for an artist coming up. It's like, not everyone has Dillan's talent, of course. I'm not saying that, but
and not everyone has to release on a weekly basis either.
But I think it's the work ethic and the consistency that you're seeing the results from.
Thanks.
I want to ask you about Shrooms, because when we talked last time, I had not done Shrooms yet. Now I have. Yeah. And you have a few lines on the new project and past projects where you mentioned Shrooms, a few times. Yeah. What is that creative process like for you with the Shrooms? Because maybe it's not every time. I know you smoke too, but what's that creative process like? Because you have sometimes where you reference it, and of course you've been doing it since, so because we're alive days. So totally talk about that creative process and involving the Shrooms.
Well, psychedelic and mushrooms have been a pretty integral part to my evolution as a human being. Since my first shroom trip, quite some time ago, maybe like 15 years ago, psychedelics are, for me, rather holistic. I've been through stints of going on large mushroom trips, what we call hero trips, where I fully dissolved my sense of my ego and got in touch with myself. The self underneath the Dillan that the name my parents gave me, and the identity I've given myself, like the essence that was floating through the cosmos before it landed in my mom's womb, before I was born. Shrooms helped me get in touch with that.
Yes.
And then that perspective has helped me evolve in so many ways. And I rarely do mushrooms anymore because paradoxically, mushrooms help me realize that I don't need mushrooms. Yeah.
Funny how that works.
This weird way. And when I came to that realization, it was profound for me. I had a blindfolded psychedelic trip with a shaman. It was a guided trip. Damn. Drank liquefied psilocybin with a shaman. And I went through a blindfolded trip for about 10 hours, which felt like lifetimes, man. And I always say, like, I describe it as swinging through the vines of my mind. And I went through, like, my traumas, my best memories, some things I was afraid to face, like the relationship I was in at the time. I knew I had to get out of it. I wanted to quit drinking. I realized that I had to quit drinking if I wanted to become a person who would be of value to this world and to my family and society. And mushrooms help, like, pull back the veil that we keep in front of a lot of the things we know we need to do to reach a level of self-betterment. So every here and there when I'm home in the studio, like I got bags of dried mushrooms like all around my crib. Like there's mushrooms all around. You know, I am shroom daddy. Like it's a part of me.
Yep.
But they're just there because I love mushrooms. But I haven't been on a trip in I don't even know the last time. Months. Oh no, I lied. I dropped a song called I Freestyled This on Mushrooms on Dark Times. That was the last time I ate mushrooms. And it was just fun. Some trips I set intentions like I want to be more gentle to be around, or I want to stop smoking nicotine, or and mushrooms help guide my soul into a realm that is free of dependency. Yeah. And other times I just have mushrooms because I feel like giggling, or like, you know, like taking in how lights bounce off of surfaces or whatever the fuck. But mushrooms are have been an integral part to my evolution as a human being and shedding my ego. But they are surprisingly a pretty small part of my creative process. Yeah. Because I feel like what mushrooms are and what psilocybin is interwoven into the fabric of who I am as a person.
Yeah, it's like you don't need them. Like they're helpful, but you don't need them.
No, and they don't, and they tell you don't need them. They're like, you don't need this, but you know, enjoy this.
Yeah, I think from having my experience, I felt like I understood everything so much more in terms of my friends who do mushrooms often. I was like, I so get it now.
Totally.
And it is like, I know people have this like idea of this person does mushrooms, they must be kooky or whatever. It's like, it's half true in this way because you need to be free to kind of enjoy that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like if you're rigid, if you're in your head too much, if you're kind of anxiety driven.
They'll pull you out.
You know, and it's like that, someone who lives in that space, even without the mushrooms, you kind of see that in those people. So I want to mention that because, you know, obviously since the last podcast, I joined the team.
Welcome.
So I know Wagwan now.
Welcome.
You have this line on Grim Reaper, and you know, by the time it's out, hopefully everyone will get to hear Grim Reaper. But this line I have like double underlined because I called you the Lil Wayne before. Yeah. You have this level of honesty in your lyrics that I don't think that people always associate with rap, because some of your honesty is talking shit.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, that's really funny. It's a great observation.
Yeah, some of your honesty is talking shit, and you have this line back to back where you said, you can put my whole catalog on shuffle, and then you said I was homeless but I can't go back. And having those basically back to back in that bar, I thought was so cool because that's like the honesty coming out where it's like, I'm not only being braggadocious here, like I'm just being honest, and whatever comes with it comes with it. So talk about that. Grim Reaper I think is a crazy song to kind of start things with.
Thank you.
Talk about Grim Reaper and just those lines.
Totally, yeah. You can put my catalog on shuffle and feathers still gonna get ruffled. Yeah, these are those raps, the GOAT raps. I was homeless, but I can't go back. I climbed a mountain, left some tracks on it like some GOAT tracks. Yeah, that bar was, I didn't write that. I don't write my bars. I'm constant flow state. I record all the time. So I don't overthink. And I like to think I'm a poet. So when I'm honest, it just kind of strings together in a way that I feel it's supposed to. The Grim Reaper is a character that I feel like our society deeply misunderstands. It's a force that represents the guidance of your spirit from one plane of existence to another. A lot of people give it a negative connotation, same way our society gives a witch a negative connotation. Yeah. A witch could be a male or female. It has nothing to do with gender. It's about being in tune with magic. But, you know, society will make you think it's like an old white woman with a mole and some long, stringy, unwashed hair for eons.
Dirty teeth,
And same with the Grim Reaper. You see this dark figure in your mind when you see it. And I love offering a new perspective to things. And I look at myself with the Grim Reaper of rap. Like, I killed myself, my old self, and came back. Someone who's ready to guide everyone else who's ready to do the same. So the Grim Reaper kind of represents that concept.
I like that you called it a guide, because I think that no one thinks of it like that. It's almost like the Grim Reaper is like that principal that you get in trouble with, rather than a tour guide when you're trying to get into a new school.
Totally, that's hilarious. Yeah, exactly. It's viewed. It's like, but really, it's like, oh, hey, sick, help me out. I'm lost.
Yeah, I always say this thing is like, if you believe in God, you gotta believe in the devil, and vice versa.
100%.
You know, and so it's like you can't have it both ways. Either 100%. You don't believe in none of them, or you gotta believe in both of them.
And in a way that's easier to digest for people who are afraid of the big G word. If you see light, then there's dark. You know, you can't even comprehend light without dark because there wouldn't be anything to compare it to. The universal balance of everything is represented in spirituality as well. And the omnipresent force that we refer to as God cannot be addressed if we don't address some of the other things, which are a little more dark. And a lot of these dark forces are unfortunately in charge of our governments and the industry. And a lot of these dark forces are behind greed and, you know, and on a less spiritual level, there is darkness running the world regardless.
Very present.
So
very present.
I like to add a different connotation to some things that should be out of the dark to help shine a light on all of the things that currently are.
One thing that I take a lot of pride in is how people view themselves. And I think that when we change that, we change we change everything.
The world is a reflection of you. And when you kind of start to exude, like naturally exude how you feel about yourself, you are subconsciously giving other people permission to reach their highest version of themselves. And that type of shit is like priceless, man. That's what life's about. It's about recycled energy, you know?
100%. We're going to get to that a little bit later because I have a question that perfectly encapsulates that.
I'll put a sticky tack in that thought.
Yes, 100%.
My vegan ice cream is getting all melted.
Turn into a little soup.
I'm still with it.
I got one song to actually ask you about off album mode too. Because this song is a little different from what you usually do. But I wonder if there is going to be more of this in your future. There's not as much like this on the new project, but I'm talking about La La La. And that was a song where I was like, this is definitely just, you know,
what?
Yeah, definitely different from what you usually do.
Totally.
Is that something that you wanted from BVB? Like, talk about that song coming together and like, you know,
totally
how you went on that.
I've always been a pretty versatile artist. I love hopping on anything that moves me, whether it be a dub rhythm, hip hop, pop song. I pride myself on just feeling something and coming up with something. Not like, oh, this isn't hip hop, I ain't gonna rap on this. Like, what the fuck type of shit is that? So La 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 was an extension of that thought process. I love deep house. Like back in when I was like 19 and my older cousin used to go clubbing, used to like bring me out and we just like, I shouldn't say these stories, but we would play house music on all the drives and it was just like a part of me, you know, like I always loved it. And like my parents they had a bunch of different types of music they listened to. And I was very privy to all of it because I was very present when they were playing music. I love when music was playing. Yeah. And some of my favorite songs were the classic, I'm hot for you. Yes. What you want to do? Like, bro, hot. Like, yo, that shit fucking had me. So I don't like to let my ego get in the way of my capabilities. If I listened to my ego, I would have been like, yo, bro, you don't make that. Go make some hard raps right now. Double time. But my creativity is like, yo, I know you can make something like this. Like, come from the heart. So I let BVB know that I was in the mood to make a house record. I sent him a couple examples of songs that like I really like, and he came up with that. And I laid that song down really, really, really quickly, like hilariously fast. It was a kind of just a streamline of consciousness, and it got recorded.
Yeah, I think that style of flow that you have fits house because I remember we said about like it's a one like running. Yeah, like I think that it does really fit house. That song stood out to me because I'm like,
thanks, man.
Whether you're into house or not, you already rap in a way that kind of fits that. So the fact that you chose to do that, I was like, all right. He knows what's going on.
Appreciate you, bro. That's big. I forgot I made that song until you said it. So
I can understand. I can understand. Code Red.
Oh God, that's a
no. I have like stars beside this one because listening to the album, there's probably 2 or 3 times when I was like, make sure I have the song written down. And I did that for the first time, but every time it comes on, you're kind of like, okay, let's see what this is about.
Totally.
What I have as that song is welcome down energy. That is like
I love that.
Big bully energy. Like
that's exactly what I was going for, man.
Okay, perfect. Talk about that because that's what I got from that big bully energy.
Man, I'm made for this. Hey, armed and dangerous. Yeah, bro. Like, yo, it's funny, man. Like, I've been rapping for so long, even before I started putting music out. So like, my confidence in my abilities, it's like way beyond ego. It's just say if Kobe were to go and take a free throw, man's laughing.
Yeah,
It's not. It's
done
like
it,
ha
done it.
ha. And that's kind of how I feel. So when I heard Code Red, when B sends me beats, like I usually have a near aneurysm, and then I go fucking, and then I just like start going. But that record felt militant. Like I wanted to really assert myself on that one. I must say though, dude, like I don't overthink. I really have to put a nail in this one. I feel, and when I heard the beat, it's just like, how else could I go on this? It wasn't like, let me make sure this hits. But that walk 'em down energy is how I felt when I heard it. The beat just starts off like, yo, where are we going with this? Oh, what the? Then that record was called Code Red because I feel like it's one of those like, oh shit, this dude's snapping.
What it gives like No Country for Old Men. I forget the name of the villain, but you know how he never runs?
Yeah, bro.
And he's just a big...
He's just coming at you like the Terminator with like the worst haircut ever.
Worst haircut, killing everybody.
All time. It's a great movie, by the way.
But that's the energy of like, he's the big bad wolf and like you're running for your life and homie is just walking you down.
Yo, that record is encompasses that kind of energy 1000%.
I really felt that. There's these two records that I gotta say together because it's Beast Mode and Beast Man. The first verse of Beast Mode, that was like, okay, he got something to say in that one. And then Beast Man is just heavy. Like, is there anything with those being named similarly or anything like that? Like,
I might have fucked up when can you play Beast Mode? Do you mind?
Oh, for sure.
Because it might have an old name.
Oh, there we go. This is In the Cut exclusive. Let's find Beast. Okay, I found Beast Man. Where does
I know Beast Man. People paying for.
Well, maybe I did it. Maybe I put the names wrong.
Right? Because I was like, I think I only got one Beast on there.
Okay, so I only see Beast Man, and this is Beast Man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up, it's stuck up there. Yeah. This.
Okay.
I could talk about this right
Yeah, there we go.
I'll talk about this because why not? We live in a time where people are really, really into looking like they're a lot more popular than they are because a lot of people are unfortunately empty vessels that only get filled with the idea of attention that comes with a blue check or a lot of likes or a lot of views. And the companies that own social media know this.
Yeah.
So when they're like, hey, let's start making people pay for blue checks, I ain't gonna hate on nobody, but it just, to me, was a bit ironic because it's just like you're paying money out of your own wallet to look like you're credible. And it's just a weird mentality. So Beastman was inspired by that because I said, you ain't verified, little boy, man, you bought it. June 2023, yeah, we all caught it. Because I don't think a lot of people took in that, like when you bought your verification check, if you click someone's name, you can see when they were verified. If you're verified in 2023, it looks thirsty. I'm not trying to roast anybody, but you are dope outside of social media regardless. And on social media, you don't have to add a blue check to yourself to give yourself some semblance of importance. Facts. You're already dope. So Beastman was just like, let me chew that. Like, that's nonsense. That song was inspired by just how I felt about how thirsty I know a lot of people are and how I know the people who are in charge of social media are like, perfect, let's make them pay for it.
Yeah. I said, I'm going to say that's pretty nasty. Like, I know you're trying to be nice about it, but it's like, it is pretty nasty to pay for a check.
It's thirsty.
I know a couple of people who have paid for a check, and I'm like, you work in HR. What you doing? What you doing with a blue check? I
saw a guy it's like a person. I don't want to say his name, but I saw a guy who had like 191 followers. He followed like 2,000 people. His account was like private. And he blue checked himself. And I'm like, dude, like you sell Nikes at a Foot Locker, which is fire. But what do you wake up and feel good about that? Like you're paying for it. It just doesn't put that money that you're putting towards a blue check into a savings account, invest it into some bonds. Don't touch it for 30 years. Come on. And you're a millionaire. Why do you have to pretend that something's popping out? It's just, the perception's a funny thing and people live and die by that sword. But Beastman was a bit of an ode to not needing that type of, I've been verified since 2020, but whether or not my account got verified, do you think I would be doing anything differently?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Nothing. And trust me when I say I wouldn't be buying a check if it were available because I have other things to spend my hard-earned money on. So
I think it, and I feel like you see it too. You see like a lack that someone sees in themselves, and I think when
I want to talk to them. Like, what are you missing in your life?
I used to say Juice WRLD. I'm like, Juice WRLD, we got to stop buying this man's records and get him into therapy. It's like 4 albums in a row. He needs someone.
Hey man, and that's a serious topic though. Like there are some people where it's like, I want to have a conversation with you. Like there's something going on, and when I see the blue check, it kind of represents something that's going on in our society that is being left unchecked, which is this yearn to have some semblance of importance that's rooted in something that doesn't exist. Like the blue check doesn't even exist. Like everything on this phone screen,
it's not real.
It's not a thing.
It's not real.
It's a tool that we can use, but we are getting used by it. And hey, 444, it's a good omen.
Hey, there we go.
We're getting used by it, and the blue check is the blue check that you buy is the best example of people getting used by the system and used by social media. And it reminds me of like the Matrix. People are jacked in.
It 100% like that. I'm like, listen, we live in a simulation, and if you guys don't see it yet, then I can't help you.
And you know what's funny, man? The simulation concept is very akin to the Bible and the creation. Like we're all just giving different names to a concept that's been here since the beginning of this.
Oh man, I wish we had more time. We're getting into this. Man, no, because you're right. Like I always say, I'm just like, my dad's a pastor, so
okay.
I grew up in the church, and I always say,
I went to Sunday school too, reluctantly.
But I always say that I'm like, why I feel like I'm lucky because my dad isn't one of those pastors who's like shunning everything else.
Oh, beautiful!
Like he believes in spirituality. Like
beautiful. There were no blockades on your growth.
None of that. And so I say to everyone who like in spirituality now is like a new thing. I said, it's almost like people are choosing not to avoid religion.
Yes.
But I think you need to understand that you're not avoiding as much as you think you are.
100%.
Like
quantum mechanics, spirituality, science, religion are all conveying the exact same message in different languages.
Different fonts. Same words, different fonts.
And a lot of people go around the world and try to learn new religions or learn new spiritual practices, and 99.9% of these people come back home and realize that everything they were looking for was already inside of them.
100%.
Which is, look into Buddhism for that concept. Look, like all of these things are very interwoven, and there shouldn't be as much of a divide, but as we know about colonialism, we love divide, Our
favorite thing.
Yeah, it's like they love it. They love to divide everything because that way we don't. These conversations we're having, it helps us band together and increase the general consciousness of society and humanity. And consciousness gets away from capitalism. And
100%.
This world needs capitalism to keep running the machine. And man, this conversation could string into a lot of directions, but I'll keep it in line. I'll keep this in line.
I'm with you. One thing I was saying to my friends is like, I used to work at Queen's Park during the pandemic, and I did a bunch of broadcast stuff for them. And I said, our perception of being knowledgeable is the biggest tool that they have against us.
100%.
And the example I always give is the Toronto election that just passed. Now, if you're following the right people or certain people, Chloe Brown was everywhere. She was everyone's favorite.
Yep.
And by the way you saw on social media, you would have guessed Chloe Brown was going to win by a landslide. And I was telling everyone, I said, this is just us. So us believing Chloe Brown's going to win, exactly, we're kind of blind to what's really going on.
Yeah.
Election happened. I think she got 8% of the vote.
Oh yeah, it looked like in our bubble, and the algorithms are strong. It makes you feel like what's happening on your phone is what's happening in the world, but it's just one keyhole, perspective into the bigger picture. But that's a great example. You see someone who everyone's like, yo, this person's got momentum. They're doing great. It's like 8%.
And everyone was, and I was telling people before I said,
in charge.
The kind of the way we're losing this battle is that you feel so smart following Chloe Brown. You feel so smart posting about her because you think that's what's gonna happen. And little do you know, it's not going down. But we're gonna leave that alone. That's for another episode, 2024.
2024, we'll come back. We're talking spiritualism, religion, politics, and quantum mechanics.
Yeah, we'll see how long this episode stays up. But
for real.
They say the top 5 people in your life help make you who you are. And you mentioned earlier about the people around you and kind of an energy exchange. And that's what I always think of, because sometimes, the people in your life are the reason why you're down. The energy around you isn't right. And sometimes it's the other way around. So who are the people in your life who bring your energy up, keep your energy high, and help make you who you are? Now, your top 5 doesn't got to be 5.
Yeah, cool.
It can be 2 or it can be a 10, but just who are those people in your life?
Cool. Yeah, I'll start this first by saying that I made an intentional choice to surround myself with people that uplift me, enrich my life, and also challenge me in non-toxic and uplifting, positive ways. So I lost a lot of friends because I used to be deep into the Toronto scene, and a lot of people would hang with me because of a perception, and I'd hang with people because they had drugs, and it was a weird relationship. And a lot of people around me in those times were a deep reflection of where I was at in my life and vice versa. And now that I am reaching a level of spiritual health, mental health, physical health, I can strongly say that I'm surrounded by everyone I'm supposed to be surrounded by. And I'm getting married in October of 2024. So I just finished making my groomsmen list. So this is fresh.
Early congrats.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Found my soulmate. Shouts to Ali Palermo King. That's my fucking baby. Well, I guess we'll start with my fiance. She is a person who really made me believe in the concept of soulmates.
Damn.
Someone who sees me fully beyond the veil of my persona, my exterior, who sees my essence, loves, respects me, and loves me unconditionally. It's very rare to find that. So grateful for her. So we got my fiance. My parents are one person because they're my mom and my dad. My relationship with them has always been strong. We communicate on a very consistent basis. So my parents for sure. My best friend and my brother, Khalik Provo, he's also my DJ. I just hired a booking agent, and we have a bunch of shows set up for 2024. And going on road in like the unknown areas of the world is a weird thing to do if you're not around people you love and trust. And
Facts.
all of my touring and traveling is going to be done with someone I trust as much as I trust myself. So shouts to Khalik. I gotta say, all my siblings, Alyssa, Lola, and Jackson, those are my fucking people. My parents and my siblings are like one person. They're all one entity for me. They're all people who I talk to on a regular. And outside of my fiance and my immediate family and my DJ, I got to give a shout out to my brothers, Terrell Morris, my brother Rashid, who goes by Boyfriend, my brother Rec, who goes by Castle, my brother Jimmy Bricks, who goes by Jimmy Bricks. And yeah, that's it. Those are my people. Those are the ones who I talk to all the time, and those are the ones who I got nothing but love for.
I like when we hear a strong 5, man. I love it every time because you can never be your full self out with people around you.
People bring out shades of you, right? A lot of people do, and a lot of people have different shades. But to me, I'm an empath. I'm an empath to the point where if I'm in a room with someone for long enough, I'll just start feeling what they're feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm careful with that.
Need to be, yeah.
There are some people who are just a bowl through the metaphorical china shop of life, and they're going to plump all their problems on you, and you're going to absorb them, and they're not going to do any work on themselves, but you're going to deal with their lack of work. And
every single time. Yeah.
So narrowing it down to the strong 5 was just necessary, man. I wake up every day like my fiance's got my back. I trust her. I know that I'm my manager, so I'm good. Like, I trust me.
You're good.
I know I'm good. I don't. And anybody who has any negative opinion of me outside of those people, it doesn't exist because you don't know me.
Yeah, you have it.
You don't know me. You just know what you see online, and then you splice that with your upbringing, and you're projecting insecurities into my direction, but you don't know me. So I keep it small.
How I like to describe it is like I saw this thing where people around me were kind of fighting for their limits. And that's a phrase that I hold close to me because I'm always a big picture thinker. I saw this interview with Teddy Bridgewater where he said, you're trying to sell 50 t-shirts, figure out how you're going to sell 50,000 t-shirts. And that's what you need to be thinking of. So I'm always like,
Facts.
you know, when you tell me you're doing 70 weeks in a row, I'm like, how can we do 150 weeks?
Yeah, facts.
What does it take to do that? That's always how I think. So
Facts.
I always felt people in my life sometimes were kind of arguing me down, you know? Someone get a new job and I said, yo, this job is cool, but yo, you're better than this. Like, you should be getting this much money. That's how much you deserve. And they're like, hey, that's not how the world works. And, you know, and I was like, okay, so I want more for you than you want for yourselves.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the plan here. So when you talk about having people with you who understand your vision, have your back, that is huge, huge.
So important. And for the people in your life who you're referring to, who you see a lot in them, it's hard to make an alcoholic who doesn't want to drink stop drinking unless they want to. It's hard to tell someone that they can get a better job if they don't think that they deserve one.
Facts.
You can't, like, you could want as much as you want for someone, but if they don't want it for themselves, it's going to be an uphill battle on skates. Like, it's
for real,
holding a couch.
For real. So it's like, you know, seeing that you have that with your people, and like to anyone watching this is like, you know, it's not a surprise. You know, it's like it would have been crazy if you came up here and said, actually, everyone's trash. You know, like, you know, that wouldn't add up. When you talk about the growth you've had, it's kind of like those two things go together.
Appreciate that. Could you imagine everyone sucks?
You know, like it just wouldn't add up. Autopilot and Wolf, being the two songs that you released from the project. Talk to me a little bit about that, because I have other songs that I think I would release. I've mentioned some of them, but those two were the ones that you chose. Talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to where I'm at as a spitter, I want to expand in a realm that I know that I'm the best. And there's something about these lo-fi, dark, old school hip hop instrumentals that are pulling out a version of myself that I'm very into. You know, I've been sharpening my sword for so long. And like even Grim Reaper, it's reminiscent of like a 90s cypher, but just with harder snare.
Yeah.
You know, like these beats right now that BVB is cooking for me. And even Dark Times, which is a project I recently dropped with a bunch of crazy beats along that kind of sound. It's natural for me because, yo, like I'm the bang. Like anyone who knows me knows, like I make bangers, bro. Like King of the Town, get out of here, bro. Like Planet Ponders, don't talk to me. Bionic Man, get out.
Yeah,
like none of that. I mean, like ridiculous songs, and I love making those songs, but they don't excite me as much anymore because I've made like 1,000 of them. You know?
Yeah.
What I'm excited about is kind of ripping back the layers of what I love to do and. I'm trying to bring a level of hip hop to this industry that is not corny, that isn't boring, and is authentic. And I naturally fell into this pocket. Yeah. So with Wolf, with Autopilot, and even with All the Smoke, which is going off right now, it's in my top 5 stream song on Spotify, and that's huge because my tracks.
That's big.
Yeah, it's like it's going off. It's just kind of what I fell into, and. Don't get it twisted. Like I got a lot of different sounds coming, but right now, man, that bag just feels like home, and I'm currently renovating.
I like that. I like that. I hope it can be an inspiration for other rappers to rap. I think that there's this I don't want to say a fear. Fear is maybe too strong, but rappers don't always want to like show that they can rap, you know.
100%.
And it's funny because rappers are always taught, oh, you got to make a real song, you got to get a hit, you got to do this.
Totally.
And so I think that gets in a lot of rappers' heads.
100%.
Where it's like, yo, you may be the best at just rapping, like you're maybe not a 10 at making a hit or a 10 at doing this thing, but maybe you're just a 10 at rapping. So. I wish there was a lot more people following in that because I think that we're getting kind of subpar pop rap when we could be getting like really good rap.
The way that like the industry is moving, like, yo, like I love Yeet. Yeet is so talented. But Yeet is like the coming of a sound that's going to be foundational in the same way that Futures was, in the same way that Kanye's 808s was. And I kind of see where the sound is going, and it's cool. But I'm not like, it's not for, we think I'm going to hop on this song like, I got it but in the bands. Like, I'm not,
You're not doing that.
Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I just run on a 15K run today and I was playing Yeet. Like, I appreciate the music, but I feel like to kind of touch on what we were saying earlier, a lot of artists are making songs for other people. So they're in the game, they can rap, and they've sharpened their skills. But they're like, fuck, if I don't make like a Drake pop record, or if I don't make like a fucking melodic song that's 2 minutes long, they're not gonna like me. And this big fear thing comes in. And don't get it twisted, there are also a lot of artists who know how to manipulate the system. There are people who rap their asses off, but they know how to make pop songs. They know the right producers and they know the right distribution. So they pop off of pop. They get their bag, they get a fucking audience, and then they switch up and show them what the fuck they really do.
Exactly.
That's fire too.
Yeah.
But I will say a lot of people can't rap very well. And I'm just going to be honest. I've been watching a lot of artists. I'm sure there are people who can rap. I don't know where they are. No. I haven't seen them.
Nah, there's definitely some struggle raps going on. You know, I say to my bro, I'm like, we're in the age now where it's almost just cool that you rhymed. You know,
they're like double entendres, similes, like continuous metaphors that double and quintuple. Like, the people are just like, yo, I smoke bats and I got my city on my hat. And mans are like, yo, bars. And it's like
no.
Where do you come from?
Yeah, when did the bar get so low? Like,
yeah, you know? And I guess the emergence of Spotify and all of the digital streaming era and people being able to release music whenever they want, however they want. Not everybody's great at this, you know. Like, imagine everybody could come play in the league; they get sloshed.
Yeah, facts.
And a lot of people in the music industry are coming to play in the league. And J. Cole said this recently in an interview we had with Lil Yachty. He made a comparison to how artists in the industry, like hip hop or just music in general, it's like track meets. Like, you know, 100-meter sprinter might lose in the 200 dash, but that doesn't mean they're not a great 100-meter sprinter.
Facts.
Pole vault might fucking not be as great as a high jumper as someone else, but you're still pole vaulting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I love that analogy because it's very, very true. And I feel like a lot of people don't rap. There are some mans who can't spit. I just don't know where they all are. Like, there are still the Raz Frescos. There are still Sean Leons. There are still like people who can rap.
Yes.
But Sean Leon as a musician, he is one of those people who you know is going to make every type of music. That's who
it's not going to be just rap.
He ain't afraid to rap. And you know when he does rap, it's going to be ridiculous. And there's always room for that. But outside of the two people I just mentioned from the city, like, I don't hear anybody rapping.
This goes back to something that I think is 1,000,000% true. Is
Trey Mission, my bad. I can't.
Shout out Trey.
I cannot. That's my guy.
Big shout out Trey. It's people like rappers more than they like rap. I think that is like the groupie. Like, we think of groupies as just like the girls follow you on the road. Groupies is of every gender now.
1,000%.
That's the main difference. This question we ask everyone on the show.
Cool.
And it's because when you get to the $100 million level, everyone gets an exotic animal. I don't make the rules. This is just what happens. Justin Bieber with his monkey, Michael Jackson with his monkey, Mike Tyson with his tiger. So when you get to that $100 million level, what's going to be the animal that you bring into your life?
Well, I'm a spiritualist, and I don't like to impose my humanistic urge to make natural animals pets onto innocent creatures. So I would say I'm just going to have a dog. Wow. I'm not going to get a panther. I'm not going to get an elephant. I'm not going to get a loft ceiling so I can bring a giraffe into the crib. I'm just gonna. I have a pitty. I guess she's a pitty. Yeah, I got a pitty right now. Her name's Sky. She's 6. She's the best, and I'm always gonna have a dog. Okay. And when I get to 100 million, I'm gonna put 90% of it into a safe place for the generations to come in my family, and not spend any on imprisoning a creature.
that might be the most realistic answer we've gotten in the history of this show. We're about 95 episodes now, and that's probably the most realistic answer. I like that because I feel like, you know, we've had some vegans on the show, so that how they answer is a little bit different.
Oh, I bet. They're like,
there's that as well. And
how have some of the vegans answered, if you don't mind me asking?
Sometimes it's like it's more like a fish, like they want like octopus or something like that.
They're hilarious. They should have nothing. They don't even eat cheese, weirdos.
Exactly. But my thing is like, if you're $100 million, you can have a habitat for whatever animal you choose.
That's a good point.
And that's what some people have done. Some people are like, I would buy a farm and I'm having just 40 horses. And some people are like, I'm having my whole backyard is just for the one elephant. You know what I mean? So
Totally. And
I like that way of looking at it too.
I respect that too. At least if you're going to bring this animal into your life, you make sure that the facility is beautiful. But I'm just going to, stick to...
Leave it at that, of course, because
Stick to dogs.
I've had a couple of people who said I'm gonna have a panther in my bedroom, and I said you ain't having no panther in your bedroom.
I'm gonna have a fucking leopard. So like the idea of things. It's funny. That answer is a reflection of a lot of people's perspectives. They love the idea of something more than like how it would actually pan out. And that's why a lot of artists don't really go too far, because when you realize, I'm tumbleweeding here, but when you realize how much work goes into something, when you're sitting on your couch with your feet up, like, I want to be a musician. It's like, yeah, but do you? Are you ready? So yeah, the person who wants a panther, no, you don't.
Yeah, you think you do, but you don't. This is, I guess, the best setup for our last question here. You talked about people like, they think they want something more than they do. I always compare that to like a work ethic, and when you're starting something new, whether it's music, a new hobby, a new endeavor, you don't know how much work it takes. It's like you have an idea, you think, okay, I'll work this hard and I'll be fine. But you don't know how much work it really takes. And the people I can see who really have that thing taken to the next level is you're ready to work hard no matter how much work it takes.
100%.
You don't know how much work it takes, but you're like, I'm gonna work hard.
Whatever it is, I'm pulling up ready.
I'm ready to do it. And so I think you've already sprinkled a bunch of gems in this episode, but we're gonna end with this for Wednesday Wisdom now.
Cool.
We have the segment Wednesday Wisdom on the radio show. We ask for a motivational quote or saying either you remind yourself of or the people around you. So what is that for you?
Totally. I'm going to shift gears on this one a bit, because this is just my mantra for life lately, but it's gratitude. Being grateful for all of the abundance that you are already currently surrounded by can help artists, people in general, get off the hamster wheel a little bit, because true gratitude is the realest prosperity. Like the realest abundance lies within being like, oh, my fingers work, my heart's beating, I have a family that loves me, hopefully. And if you don't, you love yourself, hopefully.
Yeah.
But a semblance of gratitude, I feel like, and real gratitude, understanding that there are people in this planet who can't walk, people who don't have a voice because their voice box doesn't work, who don't have eyesight, who can't do what we're doing right now. Changing life into I have to do this, from I have to do this to I get to do this is like just a life-changing thing for me, I love what I do, but I'm not out here chasing millions or chasing anything. Not that I ain't gonna get millions. I get twisted on that. But I ain't out here chasing anything outside of what's already happening right here, right now. Right now, I got my fiance at home. My parents are healthy. I'm healthy. I got enough money off my music to pay rent, put money in my savings account. I'm grateful. I'm not running after anything outside of what's here. And then outside of the things I just mentioned, on a deeper level, I'm breathing.
Simple as that.
And real gratitude can help be like, why am I worried about this? Or like if a deposit is 2 days late, or if someone says something that hurt your feelings, or if something genuinely just kind of ruins your day, kind of think about why it ruins your day. And remember that only you can allow something to ruin your day, because everything is a battle in the mind. If you pull yourself out of your head, we're just here right now in a room. But, secret man behind the camera, you and I are having 3 separate realities in our minds. And pulling yourself out of your mind and being present in the now and being grateful for now is like a life hack. It's like you can pull yourself right off the hamster wheel and move at your own pace.
No, I think calling a life hack is 100% factual. Yeah. We didn't talk as much about your fitness journey and your transformation. Yeah. We'll save that for another time.
Totally. Yeah, that's a whole... By the time we meet next, maybe we'll do like an annual interview.
Yeah.
I'll have run a few more ultra races. I'm going to be traveling for some runs, so we'll have a lot more to discuss in that realm. Okay. So we'll pick that back up next time.
We'll pick that back up. But I wanted to mention the fitness of working out, because I think that's a good start to someone learning to be present. I think
Definitely.
that, you know, if you're having trouble being present, you're not a meditator, you're not a manifester, you're not gratitude is hard for you. It's one of those people. Working out is a start, because to actually go hard in the gym, you can't be thinking about lunch with this weight on your chest.
No, you can't. And on these long runs that be going on, I can't. I'm not allowed to think of anything else other than don't trip on that rock. Wow, this really, really hurts. Okay, keep pushing. Like, I can't not be right here, right now.
You have no choice.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's, you know, trying to be more present, trying to get to that place of gratitude,
Do some hard things.
yeah, we can do hard things.
Yeah.
Do hard things is right.
Do some hard things and they'll bring you right into the present. You know, like if you're lifting heavy weights, or if you're doing push-ups, or if you're running and you're doing something that you don't want to do, at a certain point, you're just going to be in it until you're not anymore.
Exactly.
And that helps. You can like let that bleed into other aspects of this existence.
Let's see the ice cream. You had a couple of bites.
I can't lie,
it
man.
turned into a soup.
It's just soup now.
Okay. Yeah. This is drippy in the worst way.
It was good. There's a lot of condensation on the bottom. At this point, it kind of looks a little bit boogery and snotty. So, and that's not hating on them. Their ice cream tasted amazing, but melted ice cream.
It's giving Halloween.
So we're gonna close that up.
Yeah.
But I took a couple bites out of respect for the show. You know, I respect you.
So we're gonna have this at the end as a little gem for anyone. But please give everyone the date of the new project.
Yeah, sure. Album Mode Volume 4 drops on December 27th. I'm dropping it during the holidays because why not? The industry always closes down during the holidays, but I'm not the industry. I'm a free creative, so I'm dropping music on Christmas, essentially. So December 27th is Album Mode Volume 4, and I got songs dropping every week for a very long time.
That's your Christmas present, Album Mode Volume 4.
Enjoy.
Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
For anyone who made it to the end of this podcast, you know what to do. Leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. Of course, find us on Instagram at The Cool Table Live, on YouTube at The Cool Table Live. And of course, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.